You sent a whole paragraph, punctuated, intentional, maybe even a little vulnerable, the kind of message that took you 2 drafts to get right. And they sent back 1 letter. Not okay, not even okay, just K. And somehow in that single keystroke, your entire nervous system went completely offline. The wild part? The person who typed it did so in about 0.3 seconds and immediately forgot it existed. But you have been staring at that letter for 11 minutes, replaying the last 3 conversations in your head, trying to pinpoint the exact moment you ruined everything. Here's what nobody tells you. The overthinking isn't about the letter. It never was. If you have ever screenshotted a K and sent it to 3 different people for a group analysis session, you already know this video is written for you. And if you've ever sent a K without a single second thought and had absolutely no idea what kind of quiet storm you left behind, you need this even more. Because right now, 2 types of people are watching this video and living in completely different emotional realities. That gap between them is exactly what we are about to name, and by the time this is over, you are going to understand something about yourself that most people spend years not having words for. The way your brain responds to that one cold letter is not traumatic. It is not immature. It is actually one of the most deeply human things a nervous system can do, and the science behind it is going to change the way you see yourself. Here's what is actually happening inside you. The moment you receive a short, toneless, unreadable message from someone you care about, your brain fires up what psychologists call social threat detection. Think of it like a smoke alarm wired directly into your closest relationships. The brain does not wait for a confirmed fire. It smells the faintest hint of smoke and it starts screaming. A 2012 study published in Psychological Science by neuroscientist Naomi Eisenberger found something that should permanently change how you think about your own reactions. Social rejection and physical pain activate the exact same regions of the brain, the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex and the anterior insula. Your brain quite literally cannot tell the difference between being excluded by someone you love and being physically hurt. So when someone you care about sends a cold, stripped-down K, your nervous system does not register that as a minor text message inconvenience. It registers it as a threat to belonging. And the brain treats threats to belonging the same way it treats threats to survival. That is not overthinking. That is your wiring doing exactly what it was built to do. But there's a second layer, and this one is the one that really explains everything. People who spiral over ambiguous messages tend to score significantly higher on what psychologists call attachment anxiety. Attachment anxiety, in plain language, means your nervous system was shaped by early experiences where love, approval, or connection felt unpredictable. Not necessarily dramatic or traumatic, just inconsistent, hot and cold, present then suddenly distant. And over time, your nervous system adapted by becoming hypervigilant. It started scanning for early warning signals. It learned to read the room in micro details, a shift in tone, a shorter reply than usual, a word left out. That K isn't just a letter. To your nervous system, it looks almost identical to every other moment where warmth disappeared without warning. Think of it this way. Imagine you grew up in a house where the lights always flickered right before a power outage, every single time without fail. After enough repetitions, you wouldn't wait for the dark to flinch. You would flinch at the flicker. That K is the flicker. Your nervous system has spent years learning to read exactly that kind of signal. That is not weakness. That is pattern recognition refined by lived experience into something almost subconscious. Hit subscribe if this is already starting to feel less like a personality flaw and more like something that actually makes sense. You belong here. Now here's the reframe, because the story you've been told about this behavior is almost entirely wrong. Society calls you too sensitive, too much, reading into things that aren't there. It says just relax, it's 1 letter. But that framing is lazy. It ignores the neuroscience entirely. Your brain is not malfunctioning. It is doing something extraordinarily sophisticated, trying to protect a relationship it has decided matters. That is not paranoia. That is loyalty at the neurological level. People who overthink a K are almost without exception people who feel with unusual precision. They catch tonal shifts, energy changes, and warmth withdrawals that most people walk right past.
That capacity has a name in psychology. It is called relational attunement, and it is one of the most emotionally intelligent things a nervous system can do. You are not paranoid, you are perceptive. There is a difference, a big one. Now, and this part matters, there is a darker version of this. It deserves honesty. Noticing a tonal shift and pausing is healthy attunement. Spending 3 hours catastrophizing, rehearsing an argument that hasn't happened yet, and deciding the relationship is over because of one ambiguous letter, that has crossed into hypervigilance. One gathers information and waits, the other gathers information and immediately writes the ending. If you recognize yourself in the second version, that is not something to be ashamed of, but it is worth looking at, honestly, because you deserve to not spend your emotional energy decoding every letter someone types on a phone screen. Here is what's remarkable, though. Research on empathy and emotional sensitivity shows that people with high relational attunement are more accurate at reading others' actual emotional states, more likely to show up during real conflict, and more capable of building the kind of deep, sustained connection that most people quietly want their whole lives. The same wiring that makes a K feel like a cold wind is the same wiring that makes you the person someone calls at 2 a.m. when everything falls apart. You feel the distance because you also build the closeness. You notice the flicker because you also feel the warmth more fully than most people ever do. The signal and the gift come from the exact same source. And the person who sent the K, not a villain, just someone operating on a different emotional frequency, one where brevity is efficiency, not dismissal. Neither frequency is wrong, they're just different dialects of emotional language, and most of us were never taught that those dialects exist, let alone how to navigate the gap between them. So if you have ever spent real time rebuilding an entire relationship narrative from one letter, you are not too much. You are not fragile. You are someone whose nervous system was trained to listen carefully in a world that mostly speaks in half signals. You catch what others miss. You feel what others skim past. Yes, sometimes that costs you an afternoon, but it also means you show up for people in ways they remember for a very long time. Some people read the room. You read the letter. Tell me in the comments, are you the one who spirals after a K, or are you the one who sends it without a single second thought? I have a feeling this comment section is about to split perfectly down the middle. And if you want to go even deeper into the psychology most people never get a name for, the next video on psychoLogic is about the kind of person who says, "I'm fine," while feeling 14 completely different things. That one is going to crack something open. Click it, you'll see exactly why.